Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Arkariem with Karie Gonia and Edgar Stephens. Today, Karie and I will be discussing one question, one topic from the point of view of head, heart, and spirit. Before we get into that topic, we're going to introduce ourselves. Karie, can you please let everyone know who you are?
Hi, everyone. My name is Karie Gonia, and I am a facilitator in a therapy called Family Constellation Therapy. I help people clean up ancestral trauma.
And I am Edgar Stephens. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I offer my services as a coach and consultant to individuals, to nonprofit organizations, and to businesses. Together, we are Arkariem, and we have our very first question, which I believe Karie's going to ask. Yes?
Yes. So I am curious, Mark, what is the inner child and how do we access him or her?
The inner child is a place that we go to very much like Disney World, and we ask to be let in. I'm kidding, but I'm kidding, but there is some truth to it. So the inner child is something that we all carry inside of us at all times. Inner child is the part of ourselves that is so precious, that is so young, so innocent, so beautiful, so pure. Inner child is the part of us that we are born with that never leaves us, no matter what anyone thinks about that. That inner child is always there with us, and we carry our inner child at all times. We access our inner child by being invited in or inviting the inner child in. The way that I like to look at it sometimes is if there is something that I'm taking a look at, a deep hurt from the past, something that's going on with me that's in my head, in my heart, in my spirit, it's about talking to that inner child and finding out where is it you're hurt, just like you would with a small child and saying, why are you crying? So what is it that's causing you to cry? Well, I don't know why I'm crying, or I want this, or I want that. Speaking to the inner child is speaking to that part of ourselves that knows what we want on such that beautiful, spiritual, loving level. And yet we have to talk to it like a child. We have to talk to it from the innocence from which it comes. We have to speak to it from that same place of loving that we were hopefully spoken to when we were infants, when we were inside of the womb. And the inner child responds then by being able to open up, being able to trust more, being able to express more openly. All of these things happen when we are actually babies. We either learn it's safe to express or it's not. And the inner child that we carry inside of us is exactly the same. The difference is that now we are the parent or we are the adult speaking to that inner child. And for you, Karie, what is the inner child and how do you access her?
I love that you said to be invited in. I work so much in family systems where inner kids are traumatized by, codependent relationships within the family system or addiction and not having any boundaries or those boundaries being preyed upon. So I love how you explained that. I always tell my clients, I feel like the inner child is the most creative, most powerful, most magical part of us. But more often than not in family systems, it's the part of us that we either don't want to face or it's the part of ourselves that we've forgotten about. So definitely, I think slow and steady with inner child. Don't rush the inner child. Don't barge in and start moving stuff around. That's why I said I love that you said to be invited in and building that trust and that connection and that attachment where attachment might have been severed with a parent figure or a caregiver. So I access my inner kid by play. I really go back and I'm like, oh, what did I love to do as like a little kid? Especially like things that I was shamed for. I really let her just go crazy. I access her in my heart. I feel like she sits in there. She told me she wants a job. Like her job is really easy. Her job is literally just to, like draw rainbows and play with sparkles and chills. So I think getting to know what your inner kid needs from you is a really, really important part to the healing.
Karie, there's something that I ask for clients to do when they are wanting to get back to the heart of who they are, back to the inner child. And I say, make a list of all the things that you enjoyed doing as a child. Like really go back to like 7 years old and earlier, like really be the little kid and make that list and then choose 1, 2, 3 things from that list and do it. So for me, I always loved singing. I still sing. I sing every day. So still every day I sing. I loved being in nature. So I get out there into nature every day. And I loved stories, whether they were from, children's books, comic books, television, relatives telling stories. And so I write every day. And so that's how I access my inner child. I write at a slightly more adult level these days, but that's how I access my inner child, is going back to the things that I cared about. So I know that you love tips and tools. So for anyone that's out there, that's one of the ways that you can access it. Make a list of those things that you did as a kid and put everything on it. Like, color on the walls. Now you're responsible for then painting your own wall afterward, but play with the crayons, put sparkles on, dress up, play make believe, play dress up, do whatever it is that allows your inner child to play, because it is in that creativity. It's in that non-judgment of the creativity that the inner child really flourishes.
It's funny, remember how the coloring craze, I feel like, came about in the last couple of years for meditation? I had such an awareness at that time of wow, like collectively, everyone's inner kid really needed that outlet, Yeah. And I was kind of notorious for drawing on the walls.
I remember that. I remember you telling me that sometimes you would get in trouble for that.
My little nephew, I spent the night over there the other day, and I was in his room and I shut the door and we were just chatting, and he just colored on the door when he was a little kid. And yet they left it, and I love it. I love it. Such an awesome expression. No.
So for all of our friends out there, if your inner child has something that it would like to share with us, a question you'd like to ask, or a subject you would like for us to talk about, please have your inner child write to us at talktoarkariem@gmail.com. That's TALK, the number 2, arkariem@gmail.com. And with every episode, we always like to end with our beautiful Karie Gonia sharing something with us about today's subject, today's topic. And so Karie, who I think does such a great job with all of that inner child work, tell us something about the inner child.
Welcome them home. That's what I have people in Constellation therapy do, is really acknowledge them, face them, even if it brings up sadness, grief, shame, whatever, but welcome them home and go slow with the process.